If you want to get in touch or say something, you know what to do. Get in touch via Twitter at Sports Tonight TV. Right, just before the break, we were talking to Perry about his selection, who he'd like to see playing for England. Now we have a right of reply by Mr. Wayne Veysey of Goal.com.
Yeah, I'm going to get my red pen out and highlight where Perry's gone wrong.
In your opinion?
Yeah, in my opinion.
Yes.
Actually, the front six is quite reasonable. I don't know if Zaha is entitled to start, since he wasn't in the original squad. You could say
he's
that
being built up into Pele again, isn't he? We're doing this
again.
He
has. I mean, it's sort of the British thing, isn't it? Build someone up.
Just because we've got such a paucity of skillful players.
Yeah. I mean, I think with young players, as we were talking about them before, there's quite an art to actually nurturing young players and also picking them. Are they going to actually progress all the way through to the heights? And also there's when it comes to buying players, a lot of clubs are scouting Zaha at the moment. The likelihood is that he will leave in January or next summer and go to a Champions League calibre club. And there's quite an art to buying players, but also to not buying them as well, isn't it? To walking away.
Do you think he'll go? Just on that, do you think in January?
Yes.
Because if Crystal Palace keep him and they get into the Premier League, next season they get £60 million. And then the next 3 seasons, if they come bottom, they get 120. So even if they go up and then they come back down again, that's worth £180 million. So would you not be a case for...
If you were his agent, you'd say stay till the end of the season and then make...
Yeah, and but if you were Steve Parish, you could say, right, you can, if it's Man United in for him, if Arsenal in for him, you can buy him, but we're going to take him back on loan to the end of the season.
That's
a
strong
good idea.
And before Oxlade-Chamberlain ended up joining Arsenal in June 2011.
He stayed, didn't he?
He did, but they were looking at a loan for 6 months back to Southampton. In the end, it didn't happen. But that's the sort of thing.
Anyway, back to Perry's dismantling of his team.
Yeah, so I wouldn't start with Zaha because I'd go with Ashley Young out on the left. Wilshere Gerrard, yeah, absolutely, they're the best two.
Would you just have Welbeck on his own, would you, or what?
No, cleverly.
Oh, cleverly.
I'd go with Raheem Sterling as well. I think cleverly
Cleverly passes sideways.
Yeah.
Who never actually creates any chances, never takes initiative. I love to look at Tom Cleverley's stats for someone who supposedly plays the free sort of role, the creative role. How many goals he's created and how many goals he's scored?
Sometimes. When he was at Leicester on loan, he scored a lot of goals. I think
that's in the Championship.
Yeah, that is. Alongside Carrick, he's been quite effective for Manchester United in bigger games. I think he's developing. He's not developing quickly. I don't think he's a superstar, but I think he's solid. And in terms of the back five, I'd go with the best available back five. I think England should pick for the first 45 minutes. I think they should pick.
What do you
learn?
But to have international friendlies, everybody's saying we've got to have these friendlies because we have to learn because we don't know what these players.
Let me just read out some of the tweets. It's high time I did. At Sports Tonight TV, thank you for everyone who's already tweeted us. Loads to get through here. David Bomb says, I think friendlies against minnows are pointless, but an away game against Sweden with our injury list is a brilliant test.
We'll see. It's not competitive.
Perry, you said to me, what do we learn? Well, if you put Hart, Jagielka and Cahill together, that's a back three that's probably going to be round thereabouts in February for the next qualifier.
But you already know what they can do. You've already seen that they can. Cahill's play for England. You know,
well,
he
they're
can
not that often. We're not
talking
talking like 60 caps each together, have we?
But for international friendlies, are nowhere near as pressurised as qualifying games. Look at the Italy game.
Well, Mike McKenna's come up with a good point. He says the problem with this one is the timing. Even with the new ideas and new players, there are 3 months before our next competitive game.
Play Brazil, I think, in February, isn't it?
So what are we doing?
Yeah.
It's what?
It's against Brazil in February, is that?
Yeah, that's a friendly. But our next competitive game is not for
that's
months.
San Marino, so that's not exactly competitive, is it?
Let's have a look. There's another one here. What about Leon Osman, says Bren B, not in your team?
I don't understand the point of points. If you're Roy Hodgson, obviously he's looking to qualify. I get that, but if you go back to Germany, what they did, you go to Spain, what they did, they actually thought, right, we have to have a new remit now, and they got rid of older players. Now,
so
Leon
Osman,
Osman,
the under-21s was the basis of their team,
Leon Osman
wasn't it?
has been excellent for Everton. I'm not saying he hasn't, but I don't see the future in Leon Osman. I just don't see the point of him being in there. But I don't.
Okay, so in your team. So Gerrard's a sentimental 100th cap.
No, he's not. No, because
if you go for your young team,
he's in there on performance for Liverpool. He's in there because
you
said
well, you need.
There's no one else.
Well, your argument there is cleverly.
I don't rate him. No, I just said I wouldn't have Tom Cleverley in my team.
If Parker was fit, would you play him?
Was Scott Parker?
If Scott Parker was
not
fit.
now. No, I think I'd say thank you, Scott. You did brilliantly when you came in and played for England. You sort of played we needed at the time, but now we've got to be looking to play in a different way. All
him by?
depends. Again,
I think
who's
that game
available.
against Germany when we lost so heavily in the World Cup, I just think...
He looked like he was
very
struggling.
much a Fabio Capello player, wasn't he? Capello.
It just,
Capello
to me, he
picked
was
him.
so slow. I
He
just
picked
thought
him.
he cannot possibly...
Picked him
We're
every
never
time.
going to
You
win
said
anything
Roy
with
Hodgson's
that.
has picked 47 players.
47 so
I
far.
think that shows... Roy Hodgson, everybody knows, is 4-4-2. Like, if you speak to anybody who was at Fulham, speak to anyone at West
Yeah.
Brom,
Changed
and
it for
he's,
Italy.
and he's in the friendly, exactly, we're all Spain. We were like Brazil, you know, doing tick-attack football.
It's just like watching
We
Brazil.
are not going to progress as a nation with Roy Hodgson in charge of the national side. You have to have someone who's brave, and we said about younger players, the advantage of young players is they play with no fear. They play with no fear.
Perry,
let me
you know, Sterling, 13 matches for Liverpool. Wilshere, 3 matches in 17 months.
Right.
Young has just come back off
But
an
if it
injury.
was the
Welbeck
point-
doesn't play for Manchester United. Zaha plays in the Championship. Bertrand's played 6 games for Chelsea this season. Jakes has played about 12 games for Arsenal. Corker's
Have you seen the
progressing well. Forster plays in Scotland. You know, there's no way in a million years this team would ever achieve anything.
Doran
No, I
Salomon,
just said
Doran Salomon says
this. International friendlies. I think they're a complete waste of time.
this looks
That's
like
why
a
the
team.
players are in the squad. But if they're there, then play them.
Doran Salomon said this looks like a team that you'd have out in the second half. Yeah, I can see that's probably what I'd like to see it in the first half.